Okay, so in today's video, I am going to be jumping on the trend a little bit. Obviously, a lot of people have been making these style of videos as raw as possible, and no editing, no fancy cuts, no fancy transitions, just me and you, essentially, me talking to the camera and just being as real as possible. Now, I'm going to try my best to not cut this at all, but I'm not too sure how it's going to play out, whether I say something wrong or something like that's means that I have to cut it. But in today's video, and yes, I am cheating a little bit, I do have a script in front of me to be fully transparent, as this is what the video style is. Being transparent. I do have a script in front of me because I've written some really, really good stuff that I wanted to share, and I think will be really, really useful and helpful for people that are at the first stage of business, or first stage of starting a business, whatever it is, the stage that you're at. I think you'll be able to benefit from this video. And what I've obviously been experiencing through the past 2-3 years is running an educational company, as I like to call it. Some of you might want to call it a Discord, whatever. But as someone that's ran that for the past 2.5 years, it's actually really interesting because you see a lot of different types of human psychology that come through for people that are trying to start dropshipping. Obviously, the Palace is teaching how to start dropshipping from the very beginning. And it's so interesting because you see different types of mindsets, different types of outlooks towards life. And as someone that runs an educational community, I can have a conversation with someone and analyze the words they use and the behavior that they show and their different outlooks on life, and instantly understand whether they are formulated to succeed or not, and whether they have that outlook and that mindset that is going to result in their success. And then that made me realize a solution to trying to increase the success rate of Palace and the success rate of the average person that joins Palace is actually boils down to the individual themselves, right? And realize that a solution to try and increase the success rate of the Palace is not just by improving the technical information inside Palace, but actually how to mold yourself and set yourself up for success in the first place, right? Because I personally think that a lot of people might say, look, you're either born with it or not, but I think different periods of exposure to different types of, whether it's a competitive sport, like growing up, I was played academy level football, had trials, was at academy, etc. And through that, taught me so many different things of formulating your mind to look at life in the way of like constantly wanting to win. There's no such thing as there being a case of where I don't win. There's basically setting yourself up to have that mindset towards anything in life where you don't think you can lose. And, I know that's very surface level psychology. Like that's the very bare minimum of, me hopping on a podcast and saying that type of stuff. But there's a lot more deeper things that I want to go into. And, you could have all the greatest information in the world in front of you, but if you're not ready for success, or you've not formulated yourself to achieve great things, and you've not set yourself up as a person to be able to, succeed. And I know it sounds so wishy-washy, but, there's actually a very common trait throughout everyone that's succeeded. And obviously I'm going to go over that. But I do think it can be taught. Like I feel like you can, I keep using the word formulate, but you can produce your self and change and shift your mindset to have the ability to approach any sort of task or any sort of, bigger picture of, I want to start dropshipping, I want to start doing copywriting, I want to start doing sales, whatever it is, that mindset shift that a lot of people have to have in order to set themselves up for success. And what I mean by setting yourself up for success is essentially recreating yourself. Your habits, your outlook, your accountability, setting yourself up for success starts with you. No matter what network you have access to, information, etc. If you do not instill the correct outlook, habits, it doesn't matter, right? Like the common phrase I always use, that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Two people could go in a room with the most intelligent businessman in the world. One person could come out of it and have the mindset of like, oh, he's not told me anything. Like, he's told me loads of stuff, but like, what can I do with that? And another person will go in that and come out and go, how can I do this? How can I do that? They'll take action on what they've been told, and they'll have that character to look at life in a way of focusing on, reward as opposed to risk, and focusing on success as opposed to failure. And that's a lot of people have to set themselves up to be able to achieve success, right? And like I said, there's so many people that just by having a 5-second conversation with them, like in the DMs, let's say they want to join Palace, them saying things like, I don't care what it takes, but I'm going to achieve. Like, I know for a fact that they will succeed if they continue to uphold that standard of living and that standard of like, no matter what it takes, I'm going to make sure this works, right? Whereas a lot of people, I'm not sure. I don't know if this will, like, I'm not sure because I've got loads of schoolwork at the moment, etc. Right? Instantly, I can tell the complete difference between the two, right? And that's just an example, but I guess firstly, you need to be able to decipher and realize like what a bad habit is, or what a bad characteristic looks like, and what a bad outlook looks like, in order to counteract it. So all bad habits are completely subjective as well. To you, as the viewer, the person that's watching this, as what makes it bad. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say every single bad habit that exists, because there's a million bad habits, right? But you just need to be able to understand what the bad habit leads to, right? To understand that it is a bad habit. So a bad habit is something that leads to a regression in, solving your pain with the wrong solution, right? So things like, I'm bored right now, so I'm going to just go jump on Fortnite. Or I'm lonely right now, so I'm going to go to the club. Or I have a desire to get attention, so I'm going to go scroll on Tinder or Hinge and try get attention or some sort of gratification, right? So these are bad habits, and solving them with basically solving a pain point with things that lead to a bad solution, right? There is no point in me sitting here and telling you, what makes a bad habit, because it should be pretty explanatory. If it's not something that is going to get you a step closer to your goals, whether that's health, emotional, financial, etc., then steer away from it, right? Like things like smoking, etc. I mean, that doesn't directly correlate. I mean, that's for specifically health. But let's say like financial, like there's nothing wrong with smoking, actually, low key. But let's say something like financial, like I'm bored, so I'm just going to sit and scroll TikTok on my phone and solve that pain point of me being bored with a solution that isn't progressing me, right? It's not progressing your life in a direction to which you want to go. It's regressing and resulting in you to solve that pain with a bad solution. And then therefore, you have that instant gratification or satiation, to which you are solving problems with an instant fix. And that wires your brain in a bad way, right? And I'll get onto that in a minute. Now, I'm not going to sit here also and spew Atomic Habits at you all. Full disclosure, that is a good book to read. But I'm not going to sit here and spew, stuff from that, because a lot of the stuff that I've already said is in that. So if you want to read that book, personally think it's definitely worth a read, especially if you are at the position of starting your, journey of getting into business or self-improvement or whatever. And also, shout out to a lot of people that have been doing this video format. Charlie Morgan on YouTube is goated right now. He's my favorite person to watch on YouTube. And he probably inspired this video, to be fair. But yeah, that's full transparency, once again. But also, obviously I said decipher and realize what a bad habit is, but also, not just deciphering your habits, but your outlook and your mindset. Whether you typically focus on the rewards more or you focus on the risks. When you're making decisions, whether you make excuses or you look for solutions. How do you deal with setbacks? Do you learn from it or lose from it? Do you take it on the chin and don't even look at it as something to have a negative reaction to? Do you look at it as a positive reaction and go, right, that's just something to learn from? Or do one of the worst habits that I think I tend to see the most is a lot of excuses. I've never been the one to be an excuse maker. I would rather, be a problem solver as opposed to an excuse maker. Typically when I first started out, I was at sixth form. I was sitting my A-levels. I was blah, 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 blah. And all these excuses that I could have used to not have started or not have thrown myself into the deep end or not have continuated a path of success. I could have been like, oh, I've got A-levels. I don't have time for dropshipping. Or I've got this and that. I don't have time. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have, etc. I don't have. That's something that you should remove from your vocabulary. I mean, a lot of people I will see, oh, what if it doesn't work? There's so many excuses I always hear. And that's one of the key things the key traits of someone that I look for and analyze on whether they're going to succeed or not is how often they make excuses as opposed to come up with solutions to the problem. So yeah, that's also, deciphering. Don't just decipher your habits, but decipher your outlook, your mindset. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be accountable with regards to your mindset, your life, etc. You can't just go, oh no, I don't do that. But you do. You can't be in denial about whether you hold yourself accountable. No, you have to hold yourself accountable on whether you're in denial about things, in denial about telling yourself, I don't make excuses. These are genuine excuses I personally don't think any excuse is valid. I know, I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but I personally always look for a solution in a problem. I never go to the point of there's no way I can do that. No, it's out of my hands. I always want to be the person to take it into my own hands and solve that problem. For me, my team, regardless, if I'm looking to hire people, I'm looking for problem solvers that don't make excuses and they come to me with solutions as opposed to problems, right? Yeah, problems are normal. Don't get me wrong. If someone comes to me and they go, I've tried to build this system, but it's not working, etc. Do you have any ideas? That is not technically an excuse because they're coming to me to talk about the solution. Can we come to the terms with a solution, right? And obviously I see it typically in dropshipping. Oh, my video hasn't gone viral. Okay, make 100 more videos, make 1,000 more videos. I've tested 10 products and they haven't worked. Okay, test 100 more products. I mean, that's like the surface level, but that's like the excuses that I get typically within dropshipping. And I'll get on to the gratification that people expect and why it's like that. But one thing that I wanted to touch on as well is a lot of you need to learn how to walk before you can run, right? And that's the point that I'm making with regards to you guys need to build the foundations before you want to get into dropshipping, FBA, copywriting, whatever, right? I'm not on this video to say, oh, copywriting doesn't work, do dropshipping. Any of them work. Like, it doesn't matter, right? They're all very, very good, viable business models. Copywriting, great business model, and great skill to have. And it applies directly into dropshipping. It's a good skill to have for dropshipping and building brands. Sales calls, being a setter or being a closer. All these things work, right? It's like, I'm not going to come on here just because I've got an educational platform that teaches dropshipping, like the typical bullshit gurus that come on and say like, no, dropshipping's dead, like it's so saturated, it doesn't work. Like, all of these business models work. Like it's just how it is. That's the truth to it. I need to stop taking a sip of water every 5 seconds. But back to my point, a lot of you need to learn how to walk before you can run, right? Shift your mindset and reprogram your outlook towards life. One quote that I live by, and I actually genuinely think that I came up with this myself, is when the winds get strong, there's two sets of people, right? When the winds get strong, they either build a wall or a windmill. And that is a massive determining factor for success. When you face problems, you either block it out and try hide from it and just build a wall and try, oh no, like I'm not going to deal with that, right? Or you adapt to the problems and use it to make solutions, right? Like what I said, build a wall or a windmill. A windmill obviously benefits from, the problem benefits, and a solution is produced. And a windmill is obviously when the winds get strong, wind blows around the windmill, and a windmill, I don't even know what a windmill's actually used for, because I didn't grow up on a farm, but I know it's beneficial, right? Like for energy, right? Converting into, I'm not going to get into the specifics of a windmill, but you either build a wall or build a windmill. And it's like, you either block it out and try hide from your problems, or you build a windmill and adapt to the problems to generate solutions. And the more successful, what I've seen from the people that I've met and the people that I engage with and the people that I surround myself with, is the more successful an individual, the less excuses that they make. And unsuccessful people have a book full of excuses, right? They've got a book full of excuses that successful people could have used to regress and devolve, I guess, but chose not to, right? Every excuse that any of you that are watching this have, I could have probably used myself. Oh, I'm not old enough, or I'm sitting my exams right now. Oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money to start. I don't, right? I could have used those excuses as well. Like, my business partner could have used those excuses as well. My roommate that I live with could have used those excuses as well and chose to allow them excuses to define his path and allow him to lean on that excuse to go down the route of leading a boring life or an easy life. Or, like I said, the most successful people I know chose the opposite way and choose hardship and choose the problems and choose like the things that cause us stress, because they thrive on that, right? And that I'm going to get on to gratification in a minute, and actually leading on to it now is rewiring your brain when it comes to not seeing results or success. You know, when you work a 9 to 5, or you're at school, or you're at home hungry, you get there's always instant gratification or satiation. You know, you work at 9 to 5, and after a month you get paid. You work an hour, and you know you're getting paid for that hour, and you know for a fact, because it's obviously contractually obliged. You get hungry, you order from Deliveroo at a click of a button, snap of a fingers, and within 30 minutes you've got food to your door. You've ran out of something, you need to order it from Amazon, next day it's at your door. You're extremely bored, you can just go and scroll through TikTok literally at the premise of your phone, right? Like, all of these things, you can get instant gratification easily. You're giving the satiation to either getting paid for certain, you know for a fact you're going to get paid, because that's just how it is. That's how 9 to 5 works. And anything related to trying to make money online is not like this at all, right? Because a lot of the time, until you see success, you haven't tasted success, so you don't know that it's there, if that makes sense. There's an element of uncertainty, so therefore you are constantly, I guess, working for basically for free in essence, if you actually think about it. And like I said, we live in a world of instant gratification. You want food, you order from Deliveroo, snap of fingers, it's delivered, right? There's actually an instant satisfaction, instant gratification. It's like there's a marshmallow experiment back in the day. They bring 5 kids into a room, they leave a marshmallow onto a table, and they say to the kids, if you don't, I'm going to leave the room. If you don't touch the marshmallow, you're going to get an extra marshmallow. So you're going to get 2 marshmallows. But if you do touch the marshmallow, you're not going to get the extra marshmallow. So basically, it's a case of 1 marshmallow instantly, instant gratification, or 2 later on, and prolonging that pain to then achieve a greater result, right? For a future, for something that's going to happen in the future, as opposed to something that you could take right away. So it's actually, like, in the experiment, it's called the marshmallow experiment. In the experiment, they followed the people. Majority of people, obviously, the majority of kids wanted the marshmallow straight away. They actually followed the lives of the kids for like 40 years. And they found, on average, of course, that they achieved way better jobs, had way better lifestyles, was less inclined to take on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, a life of drugs and alcohol. They had a way better family, way better household, like all of these different things that is actually crazy to see. And the point is, right, if you want to succeed at something, at some point you're going to need to find the ability to be disciplined and take action instead of becoming distracted and taking the easy options, right? Like when I was in 6th form, I had the option to write, and I got very good grades at school. I had the option to take the safe route and go, right, I'm just going to go to uni, play it safe, because I know it's guaranteed. I know for a fact it is literally instant gratification. Yes, you do some A-levels that really aren't that hard. It's just a memory game. You do it, you get A-levels right instantly. I know for a fact that the next 3 years, I could go to uni, probably get a job that will pay me $3,000, $4,000 a month, right? But instead, and I know this isn't me telling you all to do this, but instead I went to the route of, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play the long game, because I know I have one sheer delusion. I was going to touch on that in a minute. But I know for a fact that if I delay my gratification, yes, I might be left, back against the wall. But I know for a fact that I'm going to, in the long run, reap the rewards of taking that route, as opposed to the easy, instant gratification route. I went the delayed route and found, obviously some success. Obviously, I'm not in the position where I want to be. Of course, always every single day striving to achieve more and more. But with that, what I'm saying is a lot of people will start dropshipping or they'll start copywriting after a week. Oh, why have I not made 1,000 yet? Or why have I not made 10,000 yet? Because they've been wired throughout society to want to lean into that instant satiation of, I'm completely satisfied and looking for that instant satisfaction. And like, for example, I know people that have joined Palace and, a good example is Flasp. Flasp is a member in the Palace. He joined, didn't see crazy results for like 6 months, but he was seeing results. I mean, like 1K days and stuff like that. That's actually decent results. But he was non-stop committing to testing products. And then he goes and does a 50K day from organic. And he, once again, had that delayed satiation of he knew that putting in that work will lead to a greater good, as opposed to maybe taking the easier route and going like, right, I'm not going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on my A levels, or I'm going to focus on going the easy route. I'm going to focus on not putting in the work. I'm just going to focus on scrolling on TikTok, or I'm going to focus on putting my energy into playing Fortnite, whatever it is, right? So that's just an example, and I hope you guys are starting to understand. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. That you want to have the ability to be disciplined and play the long game, as opposed to becoming distracted and taking the marshmallow, that's on the table in front of you, taking the easy route. Another analogy that I wanted to touch on was how bad you really want it. Like how bad, a lot of people say they want to succeed, but they don't want it bad enough. And I know this is surface level stuff, but it's a really good analogy of someone asked Socrates, came to Socrates and asked for wisdom and advice. They made their way to a pool or a sea, like out to sea or something like that. They went to the sea, and once the water reached their neck, Socrates grabbed, I think it's Plato, and submerged him into the water until he literally couldn't breathe, right? Like he bro's holding him down for 2 minutes, right? And then he pulls him out and he asked, what did you want the most when you were underwater? And the boy replied, air, right? And Socrates said, that is the secret to success. When you want success as badly as you wanted air underwater, you will have it. And it's a case of how far are you willing to go and what lengths are you willing to go to succeed? I mean, there's videos of me, whilst I'm supposed to go to school 3 hours later, up at 5 a.m, launching and setting up ads ready to launch for one of the brands I was working on at the time. 5 a.m, waking up, going to school at 8, then coming back. All I could think about at school was drop shipping or success, blah blah blah. But actually taking action on it, and then coming home and then putting all the effort into trying to make it work again, etc. Right? And that quote is really good because on surface level, it's you need to. The secret to success is wanting it really bad, but it's to the point you have to want it that bad that you literally don't care about any other alternative. That the guy's underwater drowning and all he wants is air, because that in that moment He's so much pressure is on him. He's like, he couldn't care about all the money in the world or etc. All he wants in that moment of time is air. And you need to make those sacrifices or get yourself in that position where all you want is success, or all you want to do is succeed. That's literally all you want. And not just thinking about it, but doing it, right? A lot of people say like, yeah, like I really want fast cars when I'm older. I really want a nice watch when I'm older. Or I really want. But it's never like, I'm doing this to get to that point, right? It's like, you have to be able to just put in the work nonstop, even when results don't show, like I said about the delayed satiation, and be able to keep going even when things aren't going your way, because you want it that bad that you don't care, right? And another, the next point I want to get onto is, don't just think outside the box, set it alight and watch it burn, right? It's a little thing. I don't actually know what that, I literally came up with that. I wrote it on here and thought, yeah, that sounds quality, but I don't actually know what the set it alight and watch it burn means. But don't just think outside the box. Ever since we were young kids, and this is like typical for everyone, right? Ever since we were young kids, we were unknowingly programmed to incorporate limiting beliefs in our lifestyle, right? And in doing so, preventing us from achieving our potential, because we have those limiting beliefs set in place to which we don't believe that those are achievable, right? And a common phrase used in school, and especially from my experience, was be realistic. Come on, be realistic with that. Like, you that's impossible. Or you can't achieve that. Be realistic with your goals, blah, blah, blah. But what does that even mean? What does be realistic even mean? Like, you have to develop the outlook towards life that anything is possible, and even build up a level of delusion in yourself to which, even if it's extremely hard to achieve, you think like, I can do that. Like, I can get to that. I can achieve these things, because it's a deeper philosophy of like, it's not just believing in yourself, but it's like, if you don't truly believe that you can achieve those things, you'll never have the mindset in order to go and achieve those. And two, you will always constantly tell yourself that, no, this isn't possible, or no, that is not right. Like, that person got lucky, or that person just got rich parents, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. All, once again, excuses to redirect and shift away from your situation. Everyone's dealt, different cards, but you're dealt the cards that you're given, and there's no need to complain about the cards you've been dealt. Right? Some people are less fortunate, some people more fortunate, some people have more hours in the day. Whatever it is, whatever card you've been dealt, you'll be able to achieve success with regards to having this level of delusion, right? Now I don't mean convincing yourself that I can fly and achieve, like, grow wings and all of this shit, but I do mean developing a mindset to which you don't have self-limiting beliefs, a level of confidence that, removing that's not possible from your vocabulary. There's no way I can do that. That person only managed to get there because blah, 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 right? You need to remove those types of words out of your vocabulary, and, that shit's self-degrading. Like, why are you saying that about you? I can't achieve this. Like, have some confidence about yourself, right? And have some more conviction and confidence in yourself to go out and achieve these things, and to be able to achieve them. But first, to be able to achieve, you have to believe, right? And really believe it. Like I said, a sense of delusion to which is ingrained in your brain, to the point where anyone can tell you that, don't focus on that, or that's not stupid, where you literally don't believe them, right? Like 90% of people like will try to tell you things or give you advice, etc. But 9 times out of 10, those people have no clue what they're talking about. Unless it's someone that I know the surface level stuff, but unless it's someone that you'd want to change lives with, like, what I'm saying is block out the noise of your peers, block out the noise of people that you go to school with. They don't know fuck all. They don't know anything, right? And there'll be people in the comments like, oh, no, but my teacher, he's an authoritative figure. Bro, he knows nothing. He doesn't know anything, right? Realistically, if they're trying to say, no, go to uni, business does not work, it's pure luck. These are things that like were told to me. And actually, you know what? Shout out to my head of sixth form, who actually turned around and said, he didn't say this, but he said, fuck the A-levels. He said, I can see that you have this crazy belief in yourself that you can achieve, and you have you've backed up what you've spoken about. Because when I was in sixth form, I built a clothing brand that saw success, and I had achieved success with dropshipping from going viral. Or, you know, the first store that I ran, obviously a lot of you probably know about it, Sengun, that did the 30 million views. I achieved success. So he was literally saying to me, like, you've not just spoke about it, you've gone and done it. So big shout out to my head of sixth form, who was actually like a big factor in like telling me to just believe in myself and don't listen to what the social norms are and what everyone in your class is saying or what your other teachers are saying. If you believe in yourself, go and do it, but just prove everyone else wrong. So with regards to having that sheer delusion, a sheer delusion that's ingrained, and you don't see things as dreams, you just see them as things that you're going to achieve, and you're just not there yet. Like they're not dreams. Oh, my dream car, my dream watch. I don't look at things as like, when people ask me, oh, what's your dream car, your dream watch? I don't look at them as dreams, because using that terminology puts that achievement on a pedestal, right? And it puts, and those things, cars and watches, like, even though those are nice things, those aren't things that I put on pedestals. But you put it on a pedestal, and it's like, when you put something on a pedestal, it's above you, and therefore it becomes something that is like, feels like you can't even achieve it, right? Because it's like the ceiling, like that's what you're trying to grab, and you set it. You set a, what's the word that I'm looking for? A difference in like, I'm down here and that goal is here, but it should be aligned with it should be aligned with yourself, right? You should be aligned with your goal. I know that sounds crazy because I said, like, think big, etc. There's no problem with thinking big or thinking in terms of like sheer delusion of I'm going to achieve this and that. But don't look at them as dreams. Look at them as like, I'm going to achieve that, I'm just not there yet. Or I'm going to achieve that, but all in due time, right? Don't look at them as like, wow, if only I could get to that position. Wow. Because I remember it's one time, I was at a theatre with my mum when I was about 12, 13 years old. And like I was at the show and there was a really, really rich person involved in the show. And I remember turning to my mum, and this guy is like super, super rich. I think it might have been Matilda. And no, it was Annie. And I just turned to my mum and I was like, that's going to be me one day. Like, that is going to be me. I'm going to achieve that, and I'm going to achieve more. And I know that sounds like really like cringe, and it's like, oh, did you say that? But I did genuinely say that to my mum. And most people would look at that and go, wow, like, imagine living life like that. Or, wow, lucky for some, or how the other half live, like, I'll never get to that, etc. But I said to my mum, I'm 13, 14 years old. I'm going to achieve that one day. I'm going to get to that point. And my mum said, with hard work, you will. And most people will have people in their life who's like, oh, come on. Like, it's going to take a lot to get to there. Or it's going to, it does take a lot, but it's come on, like, be realistic. Like, that's impossible, right? Those are the types of, but you need to remove that from your brain. That's what I'm trying to get at, and rewire your brain to look at things as, look at goals and stuff like that as things that you're going to get to soon. Not, oh, that's a dream. You got to remove that from your vocabulary. And my bad, I'm just catching up with what I was saying. So one thing as well, like at the end of that, it's not a case of if, it is a case of how and when, right? Just to sum up that point that I made, it's not a case of if, it is a sheer case of how and when. Right, so I paused for ages then, was like, I don't know what to talk about next. But one thing as well is when you're working and stuff like that, your discipline can go from being locked in, constantly working, wanting to achieve your goals, building and creating, and by a flip of a button, exposing yourself to bad habits that have negative knock-on effects. Like, it results in like a domino effect in which you can't be bothered to do anything. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to push yourself. Want to satisfy your dopamine receptors with anything, just anything you get your hands on, bad food, gambling, gaming, going clubbing, etc., which can then lead to you slipping into those bad habits for a sustained period, right? And one thing that I wanted to touch on, and this is inspired by what Charlie Morgan said in one of his videos, is setting higher standards for yourself is so important. And I genuinely don't mean the typical BS of, goal setting. Not that goal setting is BS, but I mean the typical, like, I'm going to do this. I mean, controlling your emotions, and the standards that you that you set should be of a high standard, and you should expect a lot from yourself and put a lot of pressure on yourself, right? So, for example, one thing that Charlie was saying in one of his videos is like, there's a oscillation wave of this is bad, where you're bad, you're doing bad habits, you're etc. This is the top where you're like 10, whatever your goal is, 10K month, etc. And you feel ecstatic, right? But when you are, setting those goals, once you achieve this, it can be a really bad, like, negative effect of putting that on a pedestal, because once you get there, you're then alleviated of the pain that motivated you to get to that position in the first place. And the same terminology that Charlie used was, the pain is like the fuel of your car, and once you run out of pain, you're not going to go anymore, right? And it's so smart, right? So it's when you're setting your goals, and once you reach them, and you pedestal that and idolize it. Once you reach it, you no longer feel pain, because pain is just a driving factor of us to get to the success we want to get, right? Pain is like, oh, I've not retired my parents yet. I've not done this. I've not done that, etc. These are all pain points that drive you to get to that point and get to the position you want to get to. And it makes you feel a certain way, to which you feel shit at the start, right? You feel shit about you're not achieving these things. But when you do achieve these things, you're happy, you're celebrating, etc. But that's a bad thing, because, and this is, copy and paste in low key of what Charlie said, but if you're playing this game to feel good or to be happy, you're going to trap yourself in a bad position, to which once you then feel happy, you don't continue to go on and achieve good things, because you're pushed by that pain, right? So he's saying that when you get to 10K a month, you want to flip those round, and 10K a month is now that is disgusting. I'm like livid with myself, and I set those standards as well. Like if I don't make X amount today, I'm pissed. Like I'm so disappointed in myself, and I'm so like, that is horrible that like a lot of people, it's their goal, right? They're setting the goal of like, right, I want to make 2K today. Oh, it didn't happen, that's fine. You need to get really, really strict with yourself and set really, really high standards for yourself, to which, oh, I've not tested, my goal was to test 5 products today, but that's fine. Like I didn't test them, or 5 products this week, I didn't test them, that's fine. It should be, I didn't test 5 products this week. I am terrible. I know it sounds really like crazy. Like it sounds like quite sinister in a point where you're just like making yourself feel shit all the time. But you know, it's a really good way of allowing yourself to have that pain of like, I've not done enough this week. I really have not done enough. Nowhere near enough. I've not done anywhere near. I've not made 20 grand this week. Like, why? Like, I've not done enough. I feel shit about myself. I feel terrible, right? And that's where that point is. And you guys can apply that in your life to, oh, I've not, you guys need to be strict with yourself and make yourself feel bad about not doing these things, right? Like, I've not, let's say your goal is to do 10K in sales this week, or let's just say 10K this month. When you don't hit it, you can't be like, oh, it's fine, like I'll hit it next month, or oh, it's all right though, because I got 5K. You need to be like, no, that is terrible. Like, I am disappointed in myself. I know it sounds crazy, but it actually works. When I listened to that video, and I'll link it in the bottom, I was like, wow, like that is so true, because there's an element of comfortableness. And this can be at any range. It doesn't matter how much money you're earning, or whether it's gym, whatever it applies to. There is no, you get to that point and you achieve these goals, you celebrate the achievement, and it makes you feel happy, on top of the world, etc. And it's so deep, but learning to not celebrate these things and actually do the opposite and go, like, act like they're nothing, will allow you to go further and further. And like, that's the bare minimum of like, wow, yeah, that was to be expected. But now that is the floor. And if I go below that, terrible. I'm fuming. I'm so angry at myself, and holding yourself accountable for that. Some of you probably can't understand what I'm saying either, because you've not achieved any of these things yet. But like, for example, like a lot of you guys will be able to relate. Let's say maybe gym wise, you've been going gym for 5 times, you've been going 4 times a week, and you get in a really good routine, and then all of a sudden you feel on top of the world because you're like, wow, I'm going to the gym all the time. Like, I'm so good. Like, there's no pain there anymore to push you on to succeed. It's like the next, like, okay, I've done that, but now I want to get to this weight, or now I want to be able to lift this weight. Okay, right, cool. I can bench 100 kg, but now, like, that's the bare minimum. I need to get to the next level now. Not celebrate at that. Once you get to there, not celebrate it. Just think, right, that's cool. That's the bare minimum now. That's the standard that I need to keep. Because a lot of you will then slip in to a point of, you're not going to the gym, you're eating terrible food, you're scrolling on TikTok, you're doing 8 hours a day of Fortnite, and you slip into that to the point where you then feel bad about yourself again. Because that is the low point, right? I hope I'm trying to come across and explain as much as possible. But, a lot of you will pat yourself on the back and feel amazing after you reach what you put on a pedestal, and feel amazing about it. And you put that above you. You pedestal making your first 5K, or getting a Rolex, or even getting your first sale, whatever. When you achieve these goals, you celebrate these achievements. It makes you feel really happy, on top of the world. You get complacent. And a lot of people that are in Palace will be able to relate to this. You guys might get a 20K month, a 30K month, and go and feel amazing about it, and feel like I'm the G, like I'm on top of the world, like nothing can stop me, I'm flying, right? But the best thing to do is go, this is the bare minimum. This is not the standard that I want to get to, because you now flip it, right? The pedestal should be down here, and then the next thing that you go for is what's pushing you onto the next level. And then once you get to that level, you flip it again, and it's like, I cannot go below this, and if I go below this, it's awful, right? And I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to tell you guys that you have to be depressed or depressed forever and stuff like that. But I'm saying there has to be an element of pain in your life to make progress. Another thing is, Jesus, 50 minutes. Another thing is conceptualizing money as an energy and how abundant it is. I honestly don't mean to get like hippie as fuck here and get like, ooh, an energy. But what I mean is understanding that money comes and goes, and comes and goes and comes and goes, to which you either repel or attract. And allowing habits in which your money is to be hoarded, or you feel the need to cling on to money, to every pound, will create a toxic relationship and dynamic between you and money. Saving more money will not make you more money, right? I know that sounds crazy, but when you're starting out, I did this as well. It was such a bad habit. I just tried to save every penny I had. I didn't want to spend any of it, because I just thought, if I keep saving, I'm going to get more and more. But that's not how it works. Saving your money will not make you more money, right? It will not make you more cash flow. It will not make you more money. In fact, it does quite the opposite, because understanding that using your money as leverage to either learn from others, invest in better equipment for, let's say, filming, right? Or improving your health, or etc., always has positive causations to grow in every aspect. Even if you invest in something that doesn't work, you learn from that. There's no, in my opinion, unless even when you get scammed, right? Like, let's say you get scammed, there's always a positive outlook of like, right, this happened because I did this and that. I didn't verify the person. There's always like some sort of benefit from something happening. I know that sounds crazy to sound like I'm trying to say that there's benefit from being scammed. But there's always a positive outlook to look at something of like utilizing your money and treating it as an energy of like, it comes and goes, and it's not like, I'm going to cheap out on this editor. I'm going to cheap out on I'm going to hire someone to make my TikToks, but I'm going to cheap out on it. It's not good. Or even like the very, very beginning of like, I don't want to pay for a product because what if it doesn't work? I don't want to pay for this domain because what if the store doesn't work? Blah, 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 yeah. I don't want to pay for Shopify because what if it doesn't work? I don't want to pay to join Palace because what if it doesn't work, etc. But I look at it as things as an energy, and it's always going to come and go, right? But the thing that doesn't come back is time. And the more time that you waste, the more that time is not going to come back. But money comes and goes, right? It comes and goes, but the time does not come back. The time that you waste sitting around does not come back. So yeah, that's the point I wanted to make about money, is like, don't be afraid to utilize it to give yourself leverage to get to points. And don't look at it as like, oh, wow, I need to cling on to all of these pennies and cling on to these pounds and keep everything and be a Scrooge and keep everything to myself. Just be more abundant. Have that abundant mindset of like, it's going to come back. It doesn't matter. It's going to come back, right? Because when you feel like you have to cling on to it, you're psychologically telling yourself that you're not going to make any more money, if that makes sense. You're literally telling yourself, no, look, once I spend this, that's not going to come back. So then you're literally setting yourself up to think, I'm not going to make any more money. So it's just a toxic relationship with money, to which you don't allow yourself to be able to be fluid with it and be able to invest in yourself, invest in your health, invest in blah, 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 because you're literally telling yourself that's never going to come back, right? Like, even I always say to people, like, you could work, let's say you ordered 10 products to test. You could work at McDonald's and make that money back in a week. But your time that you spent because you didn't want to test 10 products and you just wanted to, I just wanted to do this, I wanted to go slow, or not necessarily slow, but I wanted to do it the cheapest way possible. A lot of that time spent is just going to be, you're going to waste so much of your time, because instead of testing 10 products in a week, you're testing 10 products in 90 days or 3 months, right? And that progression of testing 10 products is going to progress you a lot faster than testing it in 3 months, right? Because the more you do, the more you learn. So yeah, that's that. And the final thing that I wanted to say is attaching labels to yourself allows you to lean into excuses and wire your brain to attach yourself to that ideation that you are instead of you were that, right? Like, for example, smoking. Smoking was a part of their former life and not their current one, right? There's two people. Do you want a cigarette? No, sorry, I'm trying to quit smoking. Label themselves, they're still a smoker. Do you want a cigarette? No, sorry, I don't smoke. The difference in that is, like, you're labeling yourself and you're taking control of that label, as opposed to the person who's like, I'm trying to quit smoking. It's like, I'm trying to quit smoking. That person is labeling themselves still as a smoker. And it's the same with, like, anything that you try change out of all of the video that I've just said. The whole of this video, everything that I've said, you want to label yourself as you are and not you were, right? Like, get rid of yourself like you are that person anymore, right? I'm still that person that makes excuses, or label yourself as, I don't really have that delusional confidence. You have to change that from I'm not confident to I am confident. Like, even if you don't, like, you just have to set it as, you have to switch those labels around, or not, like, change those labels to where you don't label yourself as like, the label of I eat shit food. I used to eat shit food, or, I used to. That's not me anymore. I've shifted my life. I've changed my life. I've changed my mindset towards these things. I used to make excuses. No, I'm trying to stop making excuses. No, that is a part of your old life. You're reborn, right? And I'm not getting hippie here, but all of these things, you have to have a life shift into, or a mindset shift into, literally rebirthing yourself as a new person. I used to do those things, but I don't do that. That's not me anymore. I'm a new person, and I follow all these different positive habits as opposed to the bad habits. I'm trying to quit drinking, or I'm trying to quit doing drugs, or no, that is not me anymore. I'm not that person. This is me now. I'm a abundant mindset towards money. I'm a focused, blah, 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 focused on good habits, etc. That is me now. Not that. This is my previous life. I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to cover. I know I waffled a bit. Can't believe this is an hour-long video. It felt like 5 minutes. But I hope you enjoyed. I know I speak fast, so I apologize about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this video. I feel like I got a lot of stuff in this video. Hope this is going to be beneficial to you. Hope it's going to allow you to reflect on your own life and look at life in a different light. Apologies that I had to read off a Google Doc and I wasn't just staring at the camera the whole time. I had obviously a lot to talk about, so yeah, that's everything, and I hope you enjoyed. Look at these guys, man. That is so soft.